Yo, what's going on, people? I want to speak about a couple of things in this video. First of all, this very peculiar situation with the victors, Joarez and Osimhen. I still don't know where either of these super high profile, super high goal scoring wingers are going to end up. It genuinely seems pretty wild to me. Joarez is going to Arsenal. No, he's not. He's going to Manchester United. But these are two recent stories when previously no one was going in for him, which is very peculiar for the top scorer in Europe. We all know about the Osimhen situation, but he's just turned down Saudi when, the story was he wanted a lot of money. He was, fair enough, that's where the money is, Saudi, but then he's turned it down. So where's he going to go? Is he just going to stay in Turkey? He's already said, it's been briefed from his camp that previously he wasn't interested in staying in Turkey. He wants to be in a top league in terms of, maybe a top 5 European league. Really interesting. I also want to speak about Mbermo wars. Manchester United, there's the culture wars between United and Tottenham fans, which is funny, really, because this started before the end of last season because of the Europa League final. The winner takes it all. It was an awful final, an awful 1-0 goal that saw Tottenham win it. But that was it, and since then, Man United looks like they've had their fingers in all kinds of pies. They made an excellent signing in Cunha. They're looking at other superstar, high-profile signings in Mbermo and Joarez, Osimhen, or even Hugo Ekitike now, who is, of course, a very expensive striker. Very expensive, which still blows my mind how Man United have gone from austerity. They've gone from Jim Ratcliffe on the overlap saying, we've got no money, we're going to go to the wall, we're going to go bust, to spending hundreds of millions without even making a sale yet. Very peculiar indeed, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome back to Football Yannick. A little reminder that there's daily content here on this YouTube channel. Speaking about the biggest stories, or not necessarily always the biggest stories in football, but ones that I find interesting that I want to talk about to you guys. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Very, very thankful for that. And I think we are sort of quite near 18,000 subs, I believe. I'm just going to double check while I'm speaking to you, but I'm really, really pleased about it. I'm on the wrong freaking page here. I'm switching. Bear with me one moment. 17,949, so 51 subscribers away from 18,000. Wow, incredible. Thank you so much. Right, so where to start? Let's talk about the strikers firstly. Osimhen, I don't really know what else I can say about Osimhen. I wanted him to come to my club, Chelsea. I think he just felt like a real good fit. Chelsea fan, inverted commas, but idolising Didier Drogba. He's that kind of profile of striker that historically has done well for Chelsea in the Premier League era and indeed would seem fits now. But he has massive wage demands. Now, if he's got massive wage demands and he's going to cost... How much would he cost from Napoli? Because they're going to sell him. Conte's staying. He's got his Lukaku. So I'm guessing 60 million, maybe. 60 million quid. Which is, good for Osimhen. But the wages, that's the problem. Because you're going to put him on a 5-year deal. And he wants lots and lots after tax. And if you're playing in the UK, that's tricky. So again, it brings you to the Man United being linked. Where are they getting all this money from? It is blowing my mind from not having any money to having lots of money, especially if they're prioritising Mbermo, because there's still no striker. You've got loads of attacking talent. You've got, Bruno Fernandes, Cunha, and granted, Mbermo could do a job as a striker, but he really, when he plays as a striker, he's sort of playing in the front two, but really he wants to play on the right. And which is fine, Ahmad could be right wing back or just back up or whatever. And it's a very interesting situation, of course. So the two victors, I've no idea where Osimhen's going to turn up. Is he going to just end up staying at Galatasaray and scoring loads of goals in Turkey and being a bit of a cult hero there, but not really ever truly living up to his potential to see him? Because we want to see him, at a sort of final resting place for 4 or 5 years and scoring a massive club. Victor Joarez is a very interesting one as well. He, of course, was He's been linked to Arsenal and Man United, but never really heavily. The Man United links were because of Ruben Amorim, his sporting coach, who got loads of goals out of him and developed him very, very well. And of course, let's be fair, Man United are still Manchester United in terms of the allure of the club. And even if they're paying less wages, you'll still get a lot of money. Like all these players, apart from Osimhen, but your Victor Joarez, they're going to get pay rises wherever they go. Even if their demands might need to be lowered a little bit, they're still in, But it's tricky because this is the biggest contract of their careers, and they're running really hot because they're between 25 and 27. So this is when your 5-year deal that's going to make you the most money in your life. So you need to squeeze it for everything you got, basically. It's interesting because he is Europe's top scorer, Joarez. He has been playing for a powerhouse in the Portuguese league, but then again, he scored in the Champions League. He's scoring for his country. So there is that, caveat of he's just found form everywhere. But it does really interest me how he's just been on this sort of consideration list for top clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, possibly even like others. Maybe Newcastle, should they have sold Isak for silly money? I don't know. But no one's really gone for him. And there was all this controversy of, there was a gentleman's agreement for 60 million euros. Suddenly the sporting director's asking for over 100. Then you've got Victor Joarez himself posting cryptic stuff on his social media saying, soon the truth will come out. But there's been lots of lies about me, which is a classic of the genre, isn't it? For a footballer's social media, saying soon you will find out the truth. And then there's been reports this morning in Portugal that he's rejected Manchester United, that Arsenal are going to make a second bid. What I can tell you about Arsenal is we know the new sporting director that's been assigned to Arsenal, and indeed Arteta, who's replacing Edu. He really likes Joarez. But then again, what we've heard for like months and months and months is that Arteta, if he can't get Isak, which he can't, because it's just dumb, the monies would be crazy, especially now Newcastle got in the Champions League. He wants Benjamin Sesko, of course, the Leipzig striker, younger as well. He's like 21 or something. He's super young. Lots of clubs have looked at him, pretty much like Hugo Ekitike. So Chelsea are also looking at these strikers. But that was the story. Like, they're going to go and sign Sesko. Arsenal are going to sign Sesko. So it sort of leaves you like, what's going on with these two really high-profile strikers that really everyone should be clamoring over, but no one's really going for? Maybe he will just end up at Man United, which is funny, really, because Man United went from finishing 15th and trophyless to signing a plethora of attacking talent in their prime. So they're not doing and this could damage them more in the long run as well, because lots of clubs want to buy young talent. Of course, my club Chelsea do it a lot, and capitalise off youth, essentially, financially, but also performatively, or out of their performance, high-octane runners. Mbamo, Cunha, and Joarez, they're all between 25 and 30. So Man United are going, right, let's just buy guys that can make us good now. But with that, there'll all be high transfer fees and high wages. Anyway, let me know what you think about both Victor Joarez and Victor Osimhen, because I find it fascinating. I do. I know there's a lot of transfer window to go, but we've already had that 10-day one, and there was no real movement at all towards them. And I find it fascinating, so let me know your thoughts on that. And I do want to speak about Bryan Mbeumo, because there was lots of talk that he's going to Manchester United. They are still bookies' favourite to sign him for whatever that's worth. But I tell you what, not far off and not far behind is Tottenham. And then, staying at Brentford is 16-1, which is, he's moving, basically. What's really thrown a spanner in the works here is Thomas Frank, of course, being the Tottenham manager. It's something that I reacted to a long time ago here on the channel. Make sure you keep it locked, like and subscribe, etc. Because good coach, I think he makes Spurs a lot better. But Mbeumo will probably know that Frank's a really good coach, that Frank just coached him to a 20-goal season playing for Brentford. He'll be thinking, okay, I know Frank's a good coach. I know he can get the job done. He might believe that he can scale up in better conditions as well. And of course, throwing from Brentford to this Tottenham team, what can we say? He's safely going to treble his wages. Treble his wages, and that's a conservative, guess. And he's going to be playing in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's a massive, pretty new prestigious stadium, amazing training facilities. And he'll be playing with a lot better players. Not way better, because, Tottenham finished way behind Brentford in the league. But of course, context is required there, isn't it? That doesn't tell the whole story. And you think, he'll be linking up with Dom Solanke. He's a great player. Dejan Kulusevski come back in the team. He's an amazing player. So, it is there. These players you can imagine now they've got Champions League football and Europa League winning funds, however much that is, that they'll make a couple of signings. Look, there's story. You go on social media, go on X, you'll see the culture wars between Tottenham and Manchester United fans, obviously picking up off the banter from before and after the Europa League final. There's stories suggesting he'll want to go to Tottenham to play under Thomas Frank. There's been previous suggestions that he only wants Manchester United. Again, pretty exciting transfer sagas, and it's crazy, isn't it? Because we're at the point now where football's changed. It is the players from Brighton, Bournemouth, and Brentford that are creating this high profile and exciting high octane transfer stories, because Mbeumo is a great player. He's in his prime. He's just scored 20 Premier League goals. Bournemouth are definitely new entries with this talent factory, but Dean Howson, 50 million. Everyone was prepared to pay 50 million for Dean Howson, but he rather predictably chose Real Madrid. But they've got Semenyo, they've got Kerkez, they've got loads of great players. Bournemouth and of course we all know about Brighton. The last 5-6 years they've been a money making factory in terms of selling these players. Started with Ben White to Arsenal for 50 million, and of course we know the rest is history. Chelsea bought a load of them. They sold Bissouma to Spurs as well for 60 million or whatever. So there is and then Bournemouth sold Dom Solanke for 60 million as well. So these clubs, this is where people are fighting over the talent now. These smaller mid-table, lower table clubs beginning with B. It's no longer trying to get it from the continent or whatever. Anyway, really, really interesting. I'm be watching very closely. I have a feeling he's still going to go to Manchester United, but who knows? Maybe he'll go to Tottenham to play under his previous gaffer, Thomas Frank. But I want to hear what you guys think, so please do leave your thoughts down in the comment section below about the strikers and Mbeumo. And yeah, feel free to also leave suggestions of what you'd love to or for me to talk about next. Certain stories I can have a look at and think of if I want to talk about them. All right, mate. Take care. Hope to see you back here soon. Peace.